X2, X-Men United. Now, this film released in 2003, and it's a sequel of X-Men. I watched that film, and it was an awesome sequel. Awesome new characters and cool effects. So let's start with the new characters and their associated superpowers. Kurt Wagner, also known as Nightcrawler, who uses teleportation, skilled martial arts, and he is played by Alan Cumming. Pyro, who uses fire powers. Colossus, who uses skin transformed into a steel body for strength, stamina, and durability. Colonel William Stryker, he is a human military scientist, and his role is taking down potential mutant threats. And my god, he's a bad villain. Stryker's assistant, Lady Deathstrike, who uses long adamantium nails that she uses to scratch and attack. So let's start the story, and contains spoiler alert. Nightcrawler fights the security guards at the White House and tries to assassinate the US president, but he fails. Nightcrawler escapes and leaves a note saying, "Mutant freedom now." Nightcrawler at the White House, that was my favorite scene. Meanwhile, the X mentioned, Wolverine returns. Professor X uses Cerebro and tells Storm and Jean Grey to find Nightcrawler. Mystique gains information about Magneto's prison because she has to rescue him to escape the plastic jail. Meanwhile, in Boston, Jean Grey and Storm found Nightcrawler in the church. Cyclops brings Professor X to visit Magneto in a plastic jail, but suddenly, Stryker and Lady Deathstrike capture Cyclops and Professor X. At nighttime, Stryker's army has to capture the mutants at X mentioned. Wolverine attacks and kills many of the soldiers. That was my favorite scene. Colossus and many of the students escape via hidden tunnel. Rogue, Iceman, and Pyro helps Wolverine to escape. However, Iceman has to bring them to Boston to visit his parents. Stryker's army captures 6 students and breaking into Cerebro. Mystique disguises herself as a hot lady. She injects the security guard with liquid metal. Magneto magnetizes liquid metal in the security guard's body, and Magneto escapes the plastic jail. Uh-oh. Wolverine, Rogue, Pyro, and Iceman visit his parents in Boston, but the cops just arrived. Pyro gets really mad. He fires and destroys police cars. Rogue halts him when he begins to attack savagely. The X-Jet arrives to pick them up. The 2 Air Force fighter jets are firing at the X-Jet. Storm is using the tornado to blow the jets away, but the missile hit the X-Jet and they're about to crash land. Magneto arrives and forces the X-Jet to stop. Why did Magneto and Mystique arrive? It appears Magneto needs help to rescue Professor X from Stryker. In Alaka Lake, Stryker's son Jason, also known as Mutant 143, gains control of Professor X, brainwashed to use his Cerebro to find and kill all mutants. The team are ready to rescue the students, Cyclops, Professor X, and revenge Stryker. Storm and Nightcrawler has to find the students, Jean Grey has to find Cyclops, Magneto and Mystique has to find Professor X, Iceman, Pyro, and Rogue has to stay in the X-Jet, and Wolverine has to find Stryker. Jean Grey is under attack by brainwashed Cyclops. She awakens him and also cracks the dam. Wolverine went to Adamantium's smelter room and he remembers being at this place. He found Stryker, but he is under attack by Lady Deathstrike. They fight, and Wolverine defeats her. Well, Wolverine versus Lady Deathstrike, that was my favorite scene. Anyway, Storm and Nightcrawler rescue the students. Magneto and Mystique kill a lot of Stryker's army, and they rescue Professor X. But uh-oh, what happens next? Mystique disguises herself as Stryker and uses Jason to convince Professor X to find and kill all humans. That was Magneto's evil plan, because, you've guessed it, he tries to take over the world. Anyway, they escape the Alaka Lake, and Magneto changes Stryker to Concrete Rumble. Pyro leaves the X-Jet. He's joined with the Brotherhood of Mutants, and the team escape on Stryker's helicopter. Nightcrawler teleports Storm inside a Cerebro and rescue Professor X. The X-Men has to escape the Alaka Lake because the dam is about to crack. Iceman and Rogue arrive with the X-Jet, and everyone got on board. The dam burst, flooding and killing Stryker. The X-Jet has malfunctioning during takeoff, but Jean Grey leaves the X-Jet. and blocks the flooding water. She controls the X-Jet during takeoff, but sacrifices herself to the flooding water and does not survive. Meanwhile, at the White House, the X-Men give a US president files from Stryker's private office, and Professor X warns him that humans and mutants must work together to build peace. Back at X Mansion, Professor X, Wolverine, and Cyclops remembers Jean Grey. But what will happen next? Wait for the next sequel called X-Men 3. So yeah, X2, X-Men United was awesome. I always liked it, and I enjoy it. But before I go, I want to ask you one question. Why Nightcrawler's not in X-Men 3? Just please give me an answer.